there are two instances, only two, where I do not brush out my hair at night. Let's talk evening sleeping routine for healthy hair. I uploaded a short about this, but I think it really deserves a more long form video. So let's get into it. Now, there are bits and pieces of this information throughout my channel on different videos, but I think it's really important just to have one dedicated video that you guys can save and come back to. And to be honest, I come back to my own videos and my own points as well to see what I've been doing in the past and what works. So in a particular order, I'm going to go through the steps that I do every single night, and I'm going to tell you what varies. By the way, my tripod ring light broke, so I need to hold it here, and hopefully this is bright enough without being blinding. Okay, number one, I always brush out my hair with my tangle teaser. I'm going to be inserting footage throughout this video. I use the ultimate tangle teaser for this step, but please know there are two instances, only two, where I do not brush out my hair at night. One of them is right now. I got a blowout today, and I only get this done when I get a root touch-up. And sometimes I don't even get a blowout when I get a root touch-up. So max, it's once every couple months. So I am not going to be brushing out my hair because for my specific hair texture, my type, okay, and I talk about this all the time with my stylist, Elia, here in Toronto, where I am currently, he always ends off every sentence for your hair type, because what works for somebody else may not work for you because it depends on your hair type, right? So I cannot brush out my hair when it's like this, or it will be completely ruined, meaning the style. So I do not brush it out when I have a blowout like this. And number two, I also never brush it out after I have the wave consistency that I desire. My hair is naturally wavy. I used to have a thicker wave pattern when I was younger, and now it's a looser pattern. Of course, very loose on the top and then very tight underneath. Of course, that's all due to chemical processing. As we get wiser, our hair changes, so on and so forth. Those are the only two instances. On any other night, I am brushing my hair out from the nape of my neck. I flip it upside down, so I'm going from root to tip, upside down, then back up. And I'm being very cognizant of my ends because I want to give them as much TLC as possible. All right, the second step is I use the pads of my fingers to give myself a scalp massage. First of all, it works amazing. It increases blood circulation. But what also is very important is I'm spreading out the sebum that's on my scalp. I personally do not believe in scalp oils. Once again, they don't work for my hair type, and I would never try them. There are two things that I would put on my scalp, that I have ever put on my scalp, and that I can personally recommend. They are both medicinal, and they are both from ancient herbs. I grew up with my mom boiling stinging nettle. I didn't know it was called that till I was a teenager, but it's called tsikunida in Greek, in modern Greek. And she grew up boiling it, and she would put it in different pies. And then I studied it, and it's called stinging nettle because it stings. And you guys can look this up, and I'm going to be inserting some footage here. It's very popular in Malaysia and the Philippines and Greece. In Greece, we eat it a lot like in pies, but then also what you do is you strain the greens and you can wash your hair with the tsikunida, with the stinging nettle, okay? That's the one thing I would put on my scalp. The only other thing I have ever put on my scalp is a rosemary tonic, never the essential oil, the tonic that gets boiled down into a water. I was introduced to this by a pharmacist when I was working in Cyprus, when I was going through some very, very intense hair shedding, the most intense it can be. My hair was in the TE, the telogen phase, telogen and fluvium, after a long battle with a certain virus. And what happens is it's not a direct result of that virus, it's a direct result of stress on the body. Okay, so if you are going through some intense shedding, please know there's nothing wrong with you. You are going to be okay, and please watch my video on that for support, because I did a lot of research, interviewed derms. I interview people for a living, but I actually went out of my way to find dermatologists and pharmacists that I could talk to about this, and I gathered a lot of feedback, a lot of information. You're going to be okay. It will resolve itself on its own, but there are certain things that we shouldn't be doing during this time, and there are certain things that may or may not help you. At this point in my life, I felt like adding rosemary tonic on my head and massaging it into my scalp would make me feel better, and mentally it did. So those are the only two things I've ever put on my scalp, and I will ever put on my scalp, for me and for my hair type. On an average night, I'm not putting either on my head anymore. What am I doing? So I'm brushing out my hair. Okay, step 1. Step 2, I'm taking the pads of my fingers and I'm rolling around that beautiful sebum that my head produces. How much am I going to produce? It's very different from how much you're going to produce. So I cannot give you specific advice on that. Step 3. Now, as far as oiling goes, I like to oil my ends every night as well. So I would do this in the step after I brush my hair. And here's how I do it. After I've brushed out my hair, I've massaged my scalp, I then grab the oil. I do not oil my hair before I brush it out, because whenever I do that, I find, because the hair will slip easier through the comb, I find that it will pull out the hair easier and it will cause more breakage and more shedding. I have learned this the hard way. So the order that I would do this is I would brush, massage my scalp, get all that oil everywhere, and then grab my oil of choice, preferably for colored hair, a lighter oil, because something like a darker oil, like an alma oil, can stain your hair if you color it lighter. Then I would grab the ends and I would oil them. And then that way also, when you put it in your beautiful pineapple bun or your braid, when you take it out the next day, your hair will look amazing, because that oil has coated every strand. You've now put it in a specific style, and your hair is going to look fabulous the next day. That's actually one of the tricks that I do. I love Joico Blonde Love Oil. I like Olaplex 7. I like a Moroccan Light. I like the Australia 11 is okay. I like the Elixir from number 4. There are a lot of good oils on the market. I've tried Kerastase years and years ago, and I love all Kerastase products, but they are quite expensive. So I tend to buy them when I'm in Europe, because I find that they're a little bit better priced there, as opposed to buying them when I'm in North America. I am preparing my hair for nighttime sleep. So there are a few different things you can do with your hair when you sleep. And again, it depends on the style that you're wearing your hair in for the next few days, because I'm assuming that you're going to wash it every few days. For people that wash it every day, I guess you can sleep in any kind of style, because you're going to wash it out tomorrow. For me, there are two that I like. I like the low braid, and then I also like the pineapple bun. The low braid, I do a 3-part braid. Okay, very simple. Take the 3 strands and I braid them together. And the 2-part braid, which is like a twist, does not work for me, and I will tell you why. My hair gets very, very tangled, like knotted hair. So whenever I do that, the back here where I sweat gets all knotted. It doesn't work for me. I need as many sort of twists in that braid as possible, which is why I do the 3-part braid. And then I always fasten it with 2 scrunchies, one at the nape of the neck and one at the bottom. Sometimes I take that braid and I actually put it in a bun, so it's a braid and a bun in one, or sometimes I just leave it down as a braid. The second thing I do, or the second option for me, is a pineapple bun. This is very comfortable for me because it sits on top here, and then I fasten it with 2 baby claw clips and 1 giant satin scrunchie. After that, the entire back of my head is free. So I am free to lie back on my pillow. It's extremely comfortable, and it just really, really works well for me, okay? So those are my 2, I'd say, for nighttime sleeping. But then I also want extra protection, so I go through 2 more steps. The next step is a satin bonnet. Now, you can get them in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. I've tried many. If you guys can recommend an awesome brand, I would really appreciate it, because I've tried probably 4 or 5 right now, and I was approached by a brand I think last month, and then I never heard back from them, and I was really excited to try that specific brand. So The best one I've seen so far is the one with the long ribbons that I'm going to be showing you here, but there is not one that is foolproof that doesn't fall off, which is super annoying because it defeats the purpose. I like to use a satin bun and then double up with my satin pillowcase, and once again I get these all at very economical prices, and Shein is a good place to get these. I've also gotten them at Winners. It's under the TJ Maxx umbrella. When I'm traveling, I always bring the pillowcase with me. I bring the bonnet too, but of course the bonnet gives you a certain type of look, so it depends, you know, if you're alone or the kind of look you want to have. I'm also going to include a bonus point here. There are bonnets that are actually shower caps. So the interior is microfiber and then the exterior is a waterproof, beautiful shell. I found one on Shein for like $4 or $5 and I can't believe this quality. If this was in any other store, it would be $20 or $30. I think they're on Amazon for $20, but just if you want to protect your hair from humidity, from getting wet in the shower, always grab yourself a shower cap that has a microfiber, really thick towel on the inside, and props go to the Blow Up Professor. He recommended this on one of his videos, and then I literally had it in the back of my mind when I was shopping for it. So I have tried several shower caps, and I have to say the one that's the best is with that thick microfiber towel on the inside and then that waterproof shell on the outside, and just get the extra large so you can have your hair in a pineapple bun or a French claw clip or whatever it is you want to do. Those things are amazing, and it will help you obviously with the frizz, humidity, water specks, anything like that. So even though that's technically not a sleeping point, you may be taking a shower before you go to bed, so it's always good to have that. I think those are my basic steps, and again, they will vary depending on how I am wearing my hair. But if you can get these steps down pat, your hair will thank you in the morning. You'll have shinier hair, less frizz, less tangles, easier maintained hair for the next day. Nevertheless, if you guys have something to add to this, I would love to hear about it myself, and I'd also love to hear your feedback if you do this routine and if you have seen a difference. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.